Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live here at Precision Golf. Simon and I, Statler Waldorf.
Yeah, I'll do. Morecambe wise.
Yeah, I've gone a bit tame.
Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, I've gone a bit tame this evening with my shirt. Simon in his usual splendour of baby blue. Another big weekend of golf. Patty won. We've avoided the surname.
Patty T, yeah.
She won again.
Having gone through a kind of win, a period without a win last week, I think it's back-to-back weeks, to win again, bigger field, an LPGA event, and the travel in between, great. Yeah, very impressive. And
on the PGA Tour, we've had a nightclub bouncer come sous chef win.
Yeah.
After some trials and tribulations with his career. Great to see, and I think it just goes to show how tough this game can be and how you are only ever one swing away from finding the magic and equally losing it.
Yeah, and the way he played the tournament, he had his strokes gained for the first 3 rounds was unbelievable, and then he hit 2 fairways in the last round. I think it was a record for the fewest, joint record, lowest fairways hit for a win in the last round.
Yeah, spectacular. Yeah. As usual, we've got the iPads close to hand. I'm back on both discs tonight, so if you're watching from Good Golf Coaching channel, we can ask away any questions, and of course for the maestro himself, with anything club fitting or equipment, or generally anything fashion, haircuts, you know, anything really. So do fire them away. You have already been very, very busy, and last week we were saying...
Evgeny's accusing me of going on lots of work trips.
Well, you're always...
absolute disgrace.
You two are always on holiday, aren't you?
Like to be.
Yeah. So Matthew Priestley starts us off. Happy Monday. I would love to see a comparison between a TSR2 Plus, a triple diamond, tailor-made tour fairways, off the tee if you get a chance, toying with putting one of these in the bag. Well, Matthew, we've definitely got a few of those heads lined up. We are absolutely all into testing and trialing these clubs, but of course we don't want to suck up all of the show.
We'll give it a quick fire.
Yeah, we'll hit a few of them for sure.
Well, it does require hitting them properly, which might be trouble.
Yeah. EVD GD Urus. Hello, gents. Surprised to see you're at it again this week. Thought Simon would be away on a work trip. Well, you know, as I said, he does love...
Working on another one, aren't we?
Yeah, we're working on a trip, and I'm glad you mentioned it, actually. Costa Navarino coming up in May. Spots still available. If you've not checked out teamchallengetrophy.com, go over and check it out. It's a landing page for the event. Send us an email if you'd like to come on board. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. Always, I mean, it's a great location. Always get great people coming, and just looking forward to episode 2.
Yeah, bit later in the year this year. We've kicked it back a couple of weeks into early May. Hopefully we're going to have some even warmer weather than we did last year. That was really good. And we're playing the Olympic, the Dunes, and the Hills. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not liking the sound of the Hills, although we're all in buggies, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, that was the one we played. We played Hills last year.
Yes,
so the Olympics one we didn't, and they're both right up the top.
Yeah,
stunning views, because that was when we did our recce trip. We did a bit from the Olympic.
That was
the
a
green
work trip,
overlooking. Yeah, because we had to go and see it first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sound a bit damning though, doesn't it?
Important. Driving Range King. A question on gapping for driver speed of 100 miles an hour. What distance would you expect to see between a driver 9 degrees, a 3-wood, and a 15 degrees roughly?
So assuming the 9 and the 15 are the right loss for you, then I would expect at 100 miles an hour, your driver, based on a kind of a normal fairway, I'm going to base it, don't know where you are in the world, because we have a few different locations, but based on kind of a standard, what I call kind of springtime fairway here, I'd be thinking you're going to get around 275 with the driver, then 25 to 30 yards back with the fairway wood. So what I'd like to see at the top of the bag is where the 3-wood runs out to, the driver carries. And then you get the run out, so you get either a run up to a certain point or carry to it, and that's the way I like to see the driver to fairway with.
Yeah. Got some questions coming in on the Good Golf Coaching channel. David Hurley, good evening to you both. Good evening, Dave. My sister has tuned in. That's the first. Both
lucky lady.
Both looking very smooth this evening. Excellent.
She can come again.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff Berger, the downswing transition from pulling the handle out and pulling the handle down and in feels very clumsy to me. Any ideas on smoothing out this transition? Good question. Good question.
Whilst you do, I'm going to prep the 3-woods.
Do that. Do that. Now, this is a topic that I have talked about on my channel at some length. Understand that at the top of the backswing, the handle is elevated, and we've got so much energy trying to pull itself to the floor. So understanding that to move the handle forwards gives us the opportunity to, when you actually apply pressure and force on the handle down through strike, it actually starts to turn the loft down. Turning the loft down is crucial for creating angle of attack, but not only creating angle of attack, but also creating loft and flight, because when you're actually coming in with a squarer club face, easy for me to say, you actually have the opportunity to create more dynamic loft rather than one when it's coming in from the inside and open. You have to turn the face down there, down towards the target and towards the floor. Now, the reason why it might feel clumsy to you is because of where the pressures are through your feet. If a golfer has been trying to get the golf club from the inside out, as you're standing the handle up, you're actually pulling the head in. And if you're pulling the head in, everything needs to move closer towards the golf ball. And so when you then start to change that dynamic of pulling the handle forwards, and you've got the weight tipping forwards as well, you're going to run out of room. So that's why it might feel clumsy to you. The reality is that this golf swing is 99% rotary. A very small proportion of it is sideways. And if you're trying to move the golf club down and you're trying to encourage more sideways, you're really going to run out of time to square that face up and around. So I would really encourage you to think about how the outside of the circle is controlled, and a good little drill to make it feel a little bit less clumsy, hopefully, is if you were to pull the club up to baseball height, had a wall in front of you, and you started to make some swings, you can see how the handle is pulling forwards, the golf club is swinging, and now the club head is brushing the padded wall there. If you pull it forwards and you're on the tiptoes, you're going to run into the wall pretty quickly, and that's probably what you're doing with that sensation on the way down. Hopefully there's a few keys there that might help you out and not make it quite so clumsy.
Very nice.
Thank you for the question.
I'm going to swipe these forwards quickly.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Keep the questions coming in on the coaching and on anything club fitting. Simon, what did you hit? How many, James, was it? 250, 300 balls that Simon hit?
Yeah.
About right, yeah.
Just to wear me out before. Yeah. That's why my club speed gets so low. So going to start QI10. This is actually the heaviest of the three, so the only thing to take into account with this is the head weight. I'm going to put the weight, the sliding weight in the bottom, in the middle, so it's not in its lowest or highest spin setting. So this is just a data test for Matthew here.
Nice to have you all following along.
So maybe a little low on the face. Let's give it one more. A little low to get that spin. That's a bit of a better hit. So yeah, so that's more what I expect. So the QI10, the Tour, quite a low spin head, so 13.5 launch, pretty good, but 2.6 on spin. So that's quite punchy. And all of these are going to be fairly low on spin. But what you did see is get it a bit low on the face and the spin really popped up. So this one, when struck high enough on the face, very good. Catch it a bit low, will spin up a little bit more. Let's quickly switch to the triple diamond.
Stuart Reynolds asks, any comments on the Pro Sender training aid? Never seen that, don't know what that is, but I will.
Remember exactly what it is.
I will have a little look at some point and get back to you. Let's have another little.
Right, so you've got the AI smoke. Now, actually, this one.
What's this?
This is the Callaway, the AI smoke triple diamond. So these are all geared around the same theme of weight forward, low spin. You know, this and the QI10 Tour, very, very similar heads.
Right.
So
and is this for people to get to combat their open face, slicey golf
No,
swings?
not with these two, not the Tour series, because they're not trying to bring the toe in and draw it. They're just trying to bring spin down.
Got it,
So
okay.
these would be either for someone who's very spinny,
Right.
very high speed, which tends to add a bit of spin,
Yep.
very spinny, or actually, somebody who's not great with a driver wants a smaller head 3-wood, but you can loft them down and get the spin come out, almost get them down to a 2-wood.
Like it.
So
Definitely not a club for me.
definitely see a bit more loft on this head. A little higher on the face. Yeah, so slightly higher on the face and get the T. And the spins come right down to 2-1, but launched at 14. I'll see if I can get this a little lower on the face.
Nice.
Trying that one nicely at the moment.
Nice strike there. Yeah, it did well to roof that off of such
Let
a
me
shot.
give it, I'm gonna hit this.
But just be mindful that we've got a lot of
Yeah.
questions coming in,
No,
and
we
it's
did give
not
it
a
one, I'm
hitting
not-
section.
There you go. Better off the deck with that one. But off the ground there, that just shows kind of strike height to where it's important to dial the head in, because this one's better lower off the face. So actually putting it off the ground, I've got a better contact.
Yeah.
But still a bit more spin than the TaylorMade.
Oh, really? A bit more spin than TaylorMade
Yeah.
off the deck than on a tee. Any questions? David Edwards, Cy Stuart, any tips for someone hitting too much up with the driver? Degrees, in my case, 6 degrees up. In my case, also seem to struggle transferring weight into the lead side. I can talk about that after Simon has.
Last one. So hopefully I can get a decent one first hit, then we can. So a bit of a bigger head, this one.
I'm glad I'm standing back over here. Those tees are coming out quite
Yeah,
fast,
so
aren't they?
that one for me, and these are going to be different numbers for every different swing. This one for me is actually the lowest spin of any of them, but the base loft's a little bit lower. TSR2 for me with that one came out a little bit flatter in terms of spin than both the other two, but a little bit more forgiving.
If you were putting one in your bag, which one would you go for?
If it was purely as a teeing off club, based on the forgiveness, I'd probably go off the TSR2 Plus just as a teeing off option. As a fairway wood, I actually play the Paradigm Triple Diamond. The Callaways off the ground work better for me. QI10 Tour is a little less forgiving than the other two.
And if you're a super high speed swinger of the club, which one do you think might suit the guys and girls out there?
All of them can work. I think that what I define them, if you tend to trap it a bit more, the TaylorMade is a very, very good option. That would be the one that I would say would be more of a definition.
Great stuff, great stuff. Just a quick one on hitting too much up on the driver. I think a simple way to go about hitting less up on a driver is really trying to get the grip as light as possible, and then make some swings where you go back a quarter of the way. And when you go back a quarter of the way, then really start to feel like you pull the club hard. And when you pull the club hard with a light grip, what you'll start to see and feel is a little bit of lag and load. And as soon as you feel that, pull quite hard with a light grip, with a short swing like that, you'll suddenly see the angle of attack really come down. You can see I've hit down there at 7 degrees. So the minute that you then start to feel that swift acceleration from a short backswing, you'll then start to feel like the face starts to open up. So that would be a great way of certainly understanding what an increased angle of attack should feel like with a driver. Now, in terms of moving onto your lead side, getting onto the left side, that can be a variation or many variables, but a great one to encourage you to get more onto your lead side is often your left hip is in the way, is actually blocking you off. And an odd one, as it might sound, is I would make some through swings where you go back halfway, and if you stand to the right and swing through, what you'll actually start to feel is your left hip open up, and you'll start to feel how you can get yourself around. You'll feel a little bit lower in your through swing, which is the opposite of someone that feels like they're hanging back and the club's riding up. So a little step to the right as you swing through will start to open your chest up and start to fire the right side around and get you a bit more forwards. So try that little drill, that should help you out.
And if you continue that, you can do a bit of line dancing as well.
I'm not bad at a bit of line dancing, to be fair.
Step to the right, step to the left.
Yeah.
You've got half of it down already.
My sister was massive in line dancing. She wasn't really. Anyway, I thought I'd tee her up there.
There was a question about grips, I believe, that came through before we started.
Okie dokie.
Which I'm going to answer. Is about switching from a standard size to a mid-size.
I hope you're not jumping ahead of these questions here.
No, because that was just after Evgeny earlier on.
Oh, did I miss that then?
I don't know, but I just remember reading it before it came on.
No, not in here
I've
now.
jumped
Answer it.
There was one about a standard tall velvet to a +4 mid-size, and what would happen if you changed grip. The answer is there's a big difference in weight. Standard tall velvet, 52, 53 grams. +4 mid-size, 68. So you're changing it by 14 grams. So that's best part of between 2 and 3 swing weight points. So a very, very big difference. But you're also increasing the dead weight by 14, 15 grams. So it's not just the swing weight that changes, it's the whole weight of the club. So be very, very careful with that.
Yeah, it's a biggie. I have quite a few clients that come in. Oh, mid-size. How long have you had those? Oh, I just whacked them on last week. How do the clubs feel? Feel a bit lighter, actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's a massive.
Yeah, welcome to strike.
Yeah.
Fatted it, thinned it, flipped it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All of that nastiness. I just shut YouTube down, so I'm just going to have to open that up. Stuart, what went on there? There we are. We're back up and running, and there we go.
It's a good job you know what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've been
allegedly.
lost.
Allegedly. So, Bill James, shout out for the boot camp boys next week. I'm looking forward to not trudging through squelchy fairways. Yes,
We should have some caps made up for Bill the boot camp boy.
I know.
You can wear that in Greece as well. oh, Billy boy, we've got a good one for you there. Haven't we?
He's a good bean. And the Thursday night Winter League, didn't that go well this week?
Yeah, there
last
was
week?
lots of people. I mean, there's a pair of trousers here that
Goodness me.
even I wouldn't wear those.
Goodness
Mr.
me.
Jeremy Gilbert.
Yes.
No, great characters. It's a lovely crowd. There's some great camaraderie and general piss take, and it's lovely evening. It's been really good fun.
We've got one more left in March. If you head over to Precision Winter League, you'll be able to find out more information on that. Glenn, question if possible, bought some Ping Glide 4.0 wedges that come with standard tall velvet grips.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
I did jump ahead.
That's all right. That's all right. Graham Garwood, hi gents, happy Monday. My question is to Stuart. Then he follows it up with apologies, technical difficulties. So maybe he's going to come back with that. Horse Racing Legends. Nice to see Horse Racing Legends back in the camp. Good evening, gents. Could you hit a Nippon Modus 3 120 stiff and a Nippon Modus 3 130X to compare, as I've heard they are totally different profile shafts? Thank you.
Oh, he's punishing us as well. I will grab those for you.
Heavy as well. I'll jump on to Good Golf Coaching and answer a couple of questions here. Dave Edwards, nice moves too. Thank you very much. Bama number 1, Stuart, love your instruction videos. Could you do a video explaining how to hit a draw and fade? Yes, I will, happily. I've done one on draws and fades, hitting shape, but I'll do another one just for you. Jay Lee, recently hurt my left knee, working on loading my lead side and pushing off. Brief example of the proper golf move. Thank you. So, pushing off lead side. So, we have been encouraged many a year into loading into our right leg, pushing off with our right leg, moving into the left leg in a hope to open our body up. But of course, if we're moving sideways, we're not really creating around. Now, you look at modern day golfers, and I'll put my side to you there. What we tend to see is the left hip swinging around. We've seen way more hip action in golf swings now than we've ever done. It's always been a resist the lower half, and led better with the old beach ball between the knees, trying to hold the knee action off. We see golfers rotate, the left knee swings around, the left hip swings around, and what we end up seeing is a lot of pressure into the toe of the left foot. Now, the pressure in the toe of that left foot, as we start to pull the golf club, the force goes from the toe to the heel. And as it does that, that is a vertical force coming up, a lengthening of the left leg, and you can actually see how left hip moves out the way. Now when the left hip moves out the way and the force goes into the heel, it then starts to make your right shoulder have more angle in it, because if you can think about a balance line going up through the middle of my foot, I need my left glute to go that way to stabilize my right shoulder down and under to keep me in some postural angles. So the pressure in the foot, toe to heel, is the key one, with a little bit of leg length, and you'll find that that left hip really fires itself up and spins you around. Doesn't mean to say that you're going to suddenly start ripping draws. Club face is going to be quite important for that, but hopefully the understanding of how the left foot works, toe to heel, as you push up is really, really crucial. Really, really crucial.
Back to a bit of line dancing again.
Yeah, I know. I did. Well, Dave Edwards likes my move, so it's all good.
It'd be rude not to show them off.
Yeah, I know.
So is it modus 120 and 130?
Modus 20, yeah, and 30.
Right, so
yeah.
modus 120 first. I'm hitting a GMAR head, this one, just for something a bit different. So yeah, modus 120 is actually, in the stiff, is actually 114 grams, so it's a little lighter than it says on it. And the profile is softer butt, stiffer tip in this one. So definitely feel a little bit of load in the handle end. You know, weight-wise, it's just, you know, it's an easier shaft to get through because it's a little bit lighter. Primarily designed around directional stability. You know, the stiffness in the tip to keep dispersion down. You know, that one from a launch and spin, 17 launch, 5,000 spin.
Is that stiff in the butt? Is it?
No, stiff in the tip.
Stiff in the tip.
Soft in the butt.
So, have you ever had a set of irons that have been soft in the butt? Or are you more stiff in the tip?
I'm generally stiff in the midsection.
Are you? Got it. That'd be your ab strength, probably.
Yes. That's such a, you know, ripped like I am.
Yeah.
So the 130, totally different profile, and that is much stiffer in the mid to upper section, and then softer in the tip, but actually more like 125 grams as well. So I'll do a quick one with that, just so we're. I've assumed you wanted to hit the data, but yeah, obviously 10 grams heavier, so, you know, a little harder work to move. So you can definitely, it can just feel it's harder work, but definitely with this one, I mean, actually, for me, the flight, actually a little bit more spin with this, but it is designed with a little bit more tip response for a lower launch kind of mid-spin profile, and the Modus 120 for a higher launch mid-spin, but very little flight difference because I was delivering them very similarly. Just one's a lot harder work to swing.
This feels like a game of Tetris. You know, when the blocks come down quicker, and it's like the message is coming in quicker. We're going to get faster and faster at this. But keep the questions coming. It's awesome, fantastic. Do one more on here, and then we're going to go back over to Good Golf Coaching. Horse Racing Legends. Hopefully that answers your questions. Thank you so much for that. Nick Elkin asked Stuart, and good evening Simon and Stuart. Just a short question to Stuart. How do I get my hands high in the backswing? My question to you before I answer that is, why do you want your arms higher in your backswing? What do you believe that is going to do? Tom saw the new Ventus blue shafts are in. Are you seeing much difference to the OG, and does it still sit behind the blue TR in terms of stability?
In terms of stability, yes. I mean, one of the big differences, and I talked to Chad about this when we were in Orlando's, for me and Matt as well, we were hitting this a little bit earlier on, is it's a I think it's a much softer feeling shaft. Both of us could sense a lot more kick in the middle of the shaft. Very stable at the tip, that's what the Velocore does. I got very consistent shot flight data out of it. So probably I think the very initial hitting and testing with the new Velocore Plus is that I think the spin and the flight stability is a little bit enhanced. But I think it's a more responsive feel in the middle of the shaft, gives a bit more kick than the original blue.
My sister asks, is there line dancing included in the upcoming trip in May?
Well, I mean, get Stuart on the Jolly Juice and I'm sure it will.
I've been known to jump into pools fully clothed on these golf trips.
It can certainly be arranged, I'm sure.
Easy. Bama number 1 says, Simon, trying to get a better feel on my putter, would installing a small grip help feeling the putter head more due to weight ratio, or would a larger grip like Super Stroke help more?
So actually, this is where, so the smaller grip, I would think of it more as smaller grip gets into the fingers a little. You can get it into your fingers a little bit more, and some players will feel, I use the inverted commas, feel that they can feel the head a bit more. The irony is in the Super Stroke grips that the 1.0 is heavier than the 3 and the 2. So you go bigger, you actually go lighter in the Super Stroke. So don't be fooled that a bigger grip is heavier. Always weigh them before you do anything with them. But I think the more, it's a difficult one because we all describe feel differently. Yeah. So it's a bit of a difficult one to answer, but if you want to feel and sense the head of the putter, just don't go a heavy grip.
Brandon, one of my clients, whose 9-iron club speed is 100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour. Lovely, lovely man.
Careful not to swear at that.
He is asked, as a bit of fun, can we see best lefty drives? We're going to have to move the track, man. Maybe we'll do that at the end.
We'll do that,
we'll do that at the end because we'll do some testing. Brandon, we will do that. So at the end of this show, we're going to have the longest drive left-handed for Simon.
We also know that Stuart's going to win that because you definitely have practiced left-hand a lot more.
No, I've not practiced. I'm just...
First driver to hit the sidewall, there we go.
My dad was left-handed, that's where it's come from. So Tom W, so Matt Batchelor, finally get to tune in live. Matt, lovely to have you with us. Do feel free to fire over any questions if you have. Joshua Belcher, hi gents, would a low spin head work better for a player that misses strike low in the head?
Generally, yes. So what you really want is a weight forward head. So if you're missing it low on the head, the further back, the more actually distortion you get on the head at impact. So if you think about the front of the head stopping, the further back the weight is, the more it continues and works under. So then it pops the spin, and then you gear it more. So actually weight low and forward, if your miss is low, will always spin less.
Fantastic. This is a bumper week this week. Loads of you watching. Do share this with your friends, people that might want to just dip their toe into a bit of club fitting information and coaching. Do send them our way for a Monday night every week, 6 p.m, Simon and I. And if you haven't, hit the like button and you know what to do. Give us a subscribe.
And the more questions that come in, now that the lease line seems to be working, James will have to field some of the questions. Now he's got nothing to do.
Yeah. Twice.
Two questions. Yeah.
Paul Dunn asked.
Yeah,
I know. Paul Dunn. I was recently fitted into a driver shaft, the Acra FX150 M4. Yep. Can you recommend a more affordable shaft with the same profile?
So actually, the FX range. I mean, this is one of the, if I can use the word problems, is that anything aftermarket and decent grade. Actually, the FX range isn't bad in terms of pricing. The unfortunate thing is not bad for a wood shaft in terms of pricing, means about 160, 170 pounds. You're not going to get the same level of feel. I think you could get similar out of, even the C6 from a Mitsubishi, even they're going to be similar, kind of 150, 160. One of the best value shafts out there. It's not going to quite perform the same, not going to swing the same, but the Aldila, the NV range is a very good low-cost option. VA with the Badass are good, but they're going to be a different balance point. So actually to get a smoother feeling shaft at a lower price point, it's going to be very, very hard.
Good answer. And when we've got a gazillion shafts up here, if he doesn't know, then it's not worth knowing.
Well, it's one thing. I mean, that's sort of built installed price. Maybe Fuji Vista Pro, VRTX Red in the 50. VRTX Red might be a little bit less, but you're going to be over £100 no matter what in an aftermarket shaft that's of decent quality.
Yeah, yeah. Keith Logan asks, what are the best grip size for an 8-inch length hand if prone to the old odd hook?
Actually, it depends on hand makeup. So you can have long fingers, short palm, long palm, short fingers. Some players' hands extend out more that way, whereas mine drops back in. So the honest answer, I don't actually go by a measurement on a hand. I actually look how someone's hands go on the club. So I wouldn't be able to tell you if your hand measures this long that this is the size of grip you should use, because it sounds a bit of a cop-out, but it does vary player to player, and then how the grip tapers as well. So 8 inches, from looking at where my hand size is going to be bigger than standard, a little bit, but as to how much, I'm not quite sure, I'm afraid.
Yep. Radhika says, hi guys, nice to have you along, Radhika. And Driving Range King says, thanks for answering my question. Goodness, we're flying tonight. Stu Simon is like a trading desk.
Pop out of his head.
Stu Simon, I live in a milder climate You mean somewhere like
Somewhere nice.
Mauritius, Maui? So that's what I've got in my head. We don't get snow, but we do get rain and cold in the winter. Is it worth having a winter set for more carrying cold, wet conditions, or is that unnecessary? A bit like winter tyres.
I think it would be an extravagance. I think ultimately your distance is going to drop off because you're cold, your body's swinging slower, and actually you could go to heads with a wider sole, a bit more forgiveness for winter golf. It's not something that where you're more likely to require a difference is in wedges and grinds. That's where there's more likely to be a bigger difference. Because if it's that wet, then you're not going to be on the golf course anyway. So I think wedges, I would prioritise a higher bounce or a wider sole shape for winter golf versus the lower bounce or a narrower sole shape with more relief for firmer summer conditions. For me, I think the rest of the bag, it's unlikely to make big difference other than maybe a hybrid versus a long iron.
Yep, good answer. Jeff Berger asks, lots of confusion on YouTube around short pitching techniques. Is the ball hit first while taking a divot, or do you land on the club bounce and skid into the ball? Ball first, absolutely every time. Yeah, I mean, and I think if there is one area of the game where you start to get into some darkness, is when you start thinking about that kind of interaction. Very quick anecdote, it was the ending of my playing career. I was down in Qatar. I was playing a Monday pre-qualifier, and I was on the range and I was playing beautifully. And a golf coach at the time came over to me. He said, "What are you thinking about with your pitching?" And we started talking about turf interaction, all this kind of thing. Got in my head. I was in the Qatar Masters in the qualifying. I mean, I was 8 under or something. I was doing super well. And I laid the sod over it. I just, I have 2 holes to go, 3 holes to go. That was the one with the big rock. Laid the sod,
16,
laid the sod over it. And I could, for about 6 or 8 years, I couldn't look back. I just couldn't see the face on the ball. The last thing you want to be doing is worrying too much about interaction. If you're someone that's got a decent angle of attack and you've got a decent strike point on your club face, don't go messing around with bounce and what meets what first, because honestly you'll go down a hole that is sometimes really difficult to dig yourself out of. So that would be my advice on that one. Have you had any experiences with pitching that
I've certainly never thought of trying to hit the ground first.
No.
Pitching a shot. You're trying to hit the ball first, or at the very worst, you're meeting ground and ball at the same time. But yeah, I mean, the moment you start, it's like putting and short putting. The moment you start trying to think about what you're doing with the stroke rather than focus on the shot in hand and where you're trying to put it, that to me, unless you're a very elite player working on very specific technique, just hit the ball first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strike is so important, and ball turf all day long for me.
Very much so. No, it's an area that can lead you into a dark place for sure. Dave Hurley, he asks, how can I lower my hands at impact as they are high and shaft is steep at impact? Effectively, you've got too much acceleration with the handle through strike, and I think I seem to remember that you are a high club speed guy, so you've got a lot of pull. A simple drill with your left hand, just starting to feel how the handle starts to stall out and you start to get that swinging momentum of the handle. It's so easy when you've got a load of speed that you keep on pulling too hard, which gets the handle a long way in front of the head. Then you get the club face open, and before you know it, you're trying to turn it down as well, so you can get yourself in a heck of a mess. So little swings where you're just swinging with your left arm, and you can even flick them off of a tee doing that. I mean, it's not the easiest drill in the world, but you just start to feel how the club can start to swing itself down at the bottom. And I'm going to make myself a prize pull here. No, it's all good. So that club swinging, what's the angle of attack on that one?
0.1, minus 0.1.
So there was a real sense of swing there. But of course, if you start to pull it, all of a sudden, you can see how the ball pops out to the right because you've got the handle pull. Angle of attack.
4.5 degrees.
4.5 down.
The only other bit I would add to that is actually sometimes there are swing ideals that people we can see it in the Bay, try to create when they're actually focusing on someone who's a proper athlete, who's in the gym every day, who's massively flexible. And if you haven't got much mobility through your pelvis, then you say that low hand position where you're trying to create that low release, low exit, unless you can get those hips separated, that's just not happening. It's not a position you can get in. So my comment onto that is, don't try and force your body to do something it can't do, because then you're in a world of pain.
For sure, for sure. Jamie Dador, hi there. Any thoughts on which is the best speed training tool, stack versus speed sticks versus ripstick? I would go with caution over all of them. I would get yourself sound physically before you start swinging like a whirling dervish, because I see more injuries through that than anything else. So I would seek advice from a good golf coach. First of all, get your swing checked out, make sure that if you're going to load it, things aren't going to start pop and cracking, and then choose one of the three. I think they all offer various different styles of speed training with the same outcome. The speed sticks is one that I've seen a lot of success with a few people, but equally I've heard of a fair few injuries as well.
Yeah. As a technique. If you haven't got decent technique, you can't put speed through it. So,
yeah, absolutely. Graham Garwood, I'm back. Using TrackMan range doesn't give me attack angles. Is there a launch angle using a 7-iron at normal ball flight? Apologies if you have covered this, but Stuart, you have many videos. So what do you like to see optimal launch angle for 7-iron in general?
The problem is that varies on what your angle of attack is, and you can't pick angle of attack based on launch angle relative to loft, because you might be someone who takes a lot of loft off or adds a lot of loft. So without having the angle of attack, that's what governs what an optimal launch and spin is going to be. If you hit 7 degrees down on it with a 7-iron, you're going to launch it at 16, 17 and spin it at 6, 9, 7,000. If you're 2 degrees down, you're going to launch it at 20 and spin it at 6,000. So it's a fluid thing. So you do need to know what your angle of attack is, ideally, to be able to gauge what the correct flight for your swing is.
Yep, very good, very good. Hi both, sorry for repeating my question. Now you've warmed up, Simon, any chance you could hit a TSR 9-degree driver with a Diamond WB63 with Pro V and AVX? So
I'll get the shaft.
Yeah, absolutely. We are happy to hit as many drivers and irons and clubs as you'd like, but obviously it does take slightly more time, but obviously very happy to accommodate where we can. So I actually have a question. Pressed send too early. This is Radhika. If I have a cavity pack iron, MP223, would using a blade version, just 1 or 2 irons and not a full set, e.g. 5-iron MP221, help improve contact?
I gave him this answer this morning. It's interesting. There is an argument for having a hard club to practice with, because it gives you a sensation of where the contact is. It makes you have to dial strike in. So in the same way that I'd often not give a junior too forgiving a head once they get to a certain level, because I think it helps develop strike.
100%.
There is definitely an argument of having a club that's blooming hard to hit to practice with, to go, right, how good am I? I guess it depends how masochistic you are, really. But the 223s are not a overly forgiving club, but there is an argument for having a bladed 4-iron just to punish yourself with.
Absolutely, love it. And Radhika does follow on and said, I saw Simon practicing at 7 o'clock this morning, so he's had at least 200 or 300 balls, if not more.
He's deluded from his gym session, Rich Kate.
Go on then, give that.
I hope you can walk tomorrow, Radhika.
Give that a bash, and I'll
so
come
preview on an
over to
AVX, I think, wasn't it?
Good golf coaching and answer some questions over here. Andrew Morrison asks, hi gents, currently play Project X LZ 5.5 in irons, suffering a bit with tendonitis in the elbows. Is there an alternative shaft I can use, preferably steel? Thanks for all the content. You're very welcome.
I mean, the 115s are not an overly harsh shaft, but they swing fairly heavy. So, I mean, really the answer is going to be, if it's in your elbows, then slightly lighter in theory should take a little bit of strain off your elbows. I mean, anything a bit lighter is going to dampen vibration a little bit more as well. You might find the softer butt section on something like I mean, the Modus 120 is a similar kind of weight. The Project X LZ55s are 115 grams. So if you want to drop, it's about 8 or 9 grams with a Modus 105 in a stiff. I mean, the X in that's 112, but then you've got a stiffer shaft, a harder feel. So it's an interesting one as to what's creating the pain. Is it rotation or is it kind of a pull on it or vibration? But anything lighter in steel should help take a little bit out, but you might have to adapt your timing if your pain's that bad.
Yep. All right.
Pro V1 first. All right.
That was yeah, it was a little down the right wing.
Yeah. Let's give that one more. So that one, launch and spin, 40.5, 2374. Let's give that one more.
If you're just tuning in, we are here every Monday evening, 6 p.m, Simon and I, answering all questions, golf equipment and golf coaching.
So that one, a little bit straighter, 12.5 launch, just under 2,100 spin. That for me, that's where I like to see my ball flight. I do play the Pro V1 myself. So AVX now, it's at 106 club speed, okay. Flipped it a little bit. Or a lot, depending on a little bit. Okay, a little lower on the face. Let's give it one more to try and get a representative strike.
He just loves it in balls. That's what he does.
Okay, that was a little bit more similar there. So for me, those hits, the AVX spins about 100 revolutions more.
Bit out of breath,
and yeah, I need to get back in the gym. Let me just check one thing on the ball speed, because that was a good hit. The only other differential, yeah, efficiency-wise, a little bit more efficiency out of the Pro V1 for me at 106 miles an hour with those swings. So.
Gary Satterfield loves a beer, this fella.
Loves a beer.
Loves a beer. Man after my own heart. Hey guys, great stuff. The place where I hit balls does not have club head speed on the screen, but it does have ball speed. Can you figure out club head speed with just ball speed info?
You can make a, depending on how well you've hit it, you can make a decent guess.
Yeah.
Driver, if you've hit it well, it's 2/3 of the ball speed will be the club speed. The conversion on a 6-iron, if you hit it well, is 1.4 times the club speed as the ball speed. Driver 1.5 for a good hit, and it graduates down, so kind of 1.15, 1.2 on a wedge if you hit it really well. So there is a progression. You might be able to find on TrackMan's website, you might be able to find some of the optimal numbers on there, some of the resources. If not, let us know and we'll see if we can send it over.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to get the ladies' stats and the guys' stats, you could fill the blanks in between, couldn't you?
Yeah.
That would work out well. Chi Therapy. Hi guys, I cannot grip my driver the same as my irons for good results. Do you know why? A lot of the time, driver creates different feelings and sensations. Remember, you've got the ball further forwards and you've got the ball on a tee, and how you attack it will be different. That could create a different ball flight, as well as you could be striking it in a different place that's causing a ball flight. So there's a lot of influence on how a driver makes you feel, which would dissuade you from gripping it the same as your irons. So I would look at ball flight first, the shape you hit, go with the contact second, and then work out from there. We can't give you any nailed on ideas why, but that would be the process that I would look to see. Dave Hurley, will a heavier shaft help with better control with driver, as I hit my hybrid with an 80-gram shaft better and getting it out there at 230-ish carry?
I mean, the hybrid's going to have a heavier shaft than the driver because it's a shorter club. The answer is not always. I mean, there's always a bit of a definitely maybe in there, because every player has an optimum weight for generating, with the driver generating speed, but also using that weight to build speed and stay balanced. So there will be an optimal weight to hit, but As to whether it's heavy or light, a lot of the tour players have moved lighter over the last 5 or 6 years. But if you're someone who kind of pulls on the handle a bit more and pulls on the club, you do need some weight to hit against. So it could be more weight, it could be a slightly shorter shaft length as well. So there are a few variables around that.
Tony C, wedges have different bounce and grind options. If you travel a lot, you may play a course that you haven't seen before, different sand course conditions.
Yeah, and I mean, the way that the pros all get.
Sorry, he's carried on to say, should you get fit for a variety of course conditions?
I think the one that makes the most sense, if you were to do one like for example, if you would play the gap wedge, sand wedge, lob wedge, gap wedge doesn't really need to change too much. The middle wedge, again, often you're playing that. Certainly in the UK, we play a higher bounce than that, and a lower bounce on the, or a more versatile sort of graduated bounce on the lob wedge. The highest loft wedge is the one that you might have the variable on, because that's where you're playing the most delicate shots. So you know, we're not all like the tour pros and get given stuff everywhere we go for whatever we want. So if you wanted a bit of versatility without going crazy on things, then having a lower bounce lob wedge and a higher bounce or wider soled lob wedge for firmer and softer conditions respectively, then that is potentially a very good way of doing it.
Very good. Richard Skinner asks, Stuart, I suffer from a stiff lower back. This impacts my driver performance on the back nine. I tend to get armsy and steep, which impacts distance. Any coaching ideas on how to do that? If you, on the 13th hole, have a couple of super box or a gin and tonic double, that normally helps. That'll really free your back up and you'll be fine. But if you start to feel it coming on and the beer and the gin and tonics don't help, wherever the ball starts to bend towards, whether it's a draw or a fade, I would simply work on a contact that opposes that. So if you start to overhook it, work on a contact towards the heel, because ultimately you're getting tight. Other than getting on the floor and stretching that out, you need a way of offsetting the bend in the sky that you're seeing. So what you want to do is work on the contact with the driver that will offset that. So if you start to have a bit of a cut, aim for a few more toe strikes, and then if you have too much of a hook, go for a contact on the heel, and that will keep your ball relatively straight. It's such a powerful the gearing that you have with drivers. That would be the quickest option to do tomorrow. Failing that, get yourself in the gym, start to loosen yourself up and maybe free up your back. But if you're talking about changing arm lifts and more rotation, really that you're trying to protect from the horse bolting. Gin and tonics, whilst we joke about it, but it's going to relax you, muscle relaxant, and it might keep you moving. But you might be teetotal.
As you say, it is a tough one in terms of, other than just making sure that you're stretching as much as possible on the way around. But if it's wet ground, you don't want to be lying down on it and rolling your knees from side to side, do you? So,
no, absolutely.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
Ian Lynn, for overlapping versus interlocking grip, is it a personal preference, or can one grip help a certain swing fault? Currently struggling to rotate enough. My bias is that if you've got small hands, interlock. If you've got large hands, overlap. That really is a bit of a formula that I feel is worth applying. If you're struggling to rotate, seek out some of my videos on leg action, because it will be your leg action that's causing you to not be able to rotate, not your upper half or separation, that kind of thing. You're using your feet incorrectly and the pressure's through your feet. So that would be my advice to you. Mauser, where is Stuart's GX Golf Club this evening? Well, if you hadn't worked it out, Simon's doing all of the hitting this evening. Yeah. So I'm not hitting this evening. But I will be back with my gloves next time. There we go, perfect GX gloves. Yeah.
We've got to start moving.
Matt Batchelor, evening both. What are your views on Liv signing Anthony Kim?
Box office.
Absolute
box office. I think they were the only people that were going to make it worth his while to lose that insurance money.
Yep.
But you know what? He was a brilliant golfer and a proper peacock of a player as well. Yep. Someone that he's someone that I will tune in to watch. Just it's a bit like when Tiger comes back and watch him, you do want to watch him. Rory, when he's playing well, is great to watch. But Anthony Kim, there's been 10, 11, 12 years, 10, 11 years since we've seen him play. It wouldn't surprise me if he went out there and nearly won first week out. He's that kind of player.
There's a whole generation. Anthony Kim Hu, right?
Yeah. This is a guy who beat Sergio in the Ryder Cup in the singles.
I know. And they were going at it as well.
And there was not a happy Sergio in that one, because he got made to hold one that long on the first green.
Yeah, proper ding dong.
Yeah.
Glenn 400, thank you, Simon, for remembering my question. How do you go about balancing when you do go up to mid-size, as I had a lot of issues with pulls, but like you said, I'm experiencing flipping fats and thins.
So what we do is when we're fitting, if someone needs to go to a bigger grip, I would generally look at how sensitive someone is to that shaft weight. If they're sensitive to shaft weight to a few grams, they're going to be sensitive to the grip weight changing by a few grams or by 10 grams. Because if you change the grip weight by 10, you've got to add weight to the club head to get the swing weight back, but all you're doing is moving the weight to two ends of the club. So there are about 4 or 5 different grip types that you can go to a mid-size and not go as heavy, and that's something that we've been more and more keen about in the last couple of years, because if we're going to the lengths of getting the club dialed into 0.5 gram on the head and then you just whack another 10 grams on the grip, it throws the whole balance of the club off. So test out whether the grip weight affects you, if you can, somewhere first, and then just make sure you don't go above that grip weight.
Good answer there. Bama number 1, Stuart, I still have problems pulling shots left. Do you have a drill to help alleviate the problem? For your information, is a straight pull and the ball does not draw. There is and it's great that you've added that in, because there's a clear distinction between a pull and a pull draw. The ball must bend left, so what you need to do is make your face close to the path first before you can ever fix any sort of pull. So my first port of call would always be the grip. Make sure your grip is on the strong side of life. Once you start to see the ball bending to the left, move the ball back in your stance. That will then start it a little bit more to the right, because obviously you've got the ball bending left, now it's starting to the right. And what will happen over a period of games or practice sessions, by moving the ball back, making that grip a little bit stronger, your movement will start to adapt to get the ball starting more right, because it's bending more left. So change the face to path first, get the grip a little bit stronger. That'll be the easiest way to go. Move the ball back, hit some shots, get the ball starting right, and then you'll start to adjust from there. If you struggle with flight problems, just bump it forwards a bit, but you'll find a nice place between overdrawing it and getting it started on line. So that would be my advice to you for that one. Mercy Joe 1. Stuart, please talk about your left arm coming down. It seems to be way further than the toe line, more on a 45 degree coming down into delivery possession. Thank you. So
glad you understand that.
Yeah. So I talk about this all the time. The pull line, we've got so much energy of the club coming down this way. I really want to feel how my handle is moving forwards, because if you've got this weighted end and you've got the light end, the harder I pull the club this way, the more the club head is going to fall backwards. Now, when that mass is falling backwards, the handle is lifting up. So I feel force move up into my grip here, and that force into my grip really allows me to feel how my left shoulder can start to put pressure and force on the golf club, which then lines the face up and starts to allow the club head to swing. So for me, from the top of the backswing, I'm always trying to feel how the handle's moving forwards, my left arm, and I'm trying to sequence my left hip back. Now all of a sudden you could see that my left hand could almost get onto the ball line. Of course, it would never get that far out. But you can see, even if I did get my handle that far forwards, the club head is nowhere near outside the ball to target line. It would be if I was a caster or an early extender, but I'm not. I'm pulling, and nor should I be, because if I was pulling a heavy golf club, the club's gonna load. So at that point, when I then start to apply pressure and force on the golf club, we can see how that club would then start to swing from the inside still and line the face up. So I'm always feeling handle forwards, and I'm always harmonizing that with my left hip back. Hopefully that answers that question. Very good. Isn't it nice doing a bit of golf coaching as well as
absolutely.
The fitting as well, right? It's nice that we can offer up both sides of the story. Nick Luton, or Luton should I say. Hi Stuart and Simon, enjoying the show this evening. As always, great insights and variety. Any thoughts about having a guest on some weeks? Would be nice to hear from Lewis, or what about some tour pros? Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Henny Koyak has joined us. So we're going to be getting Henny on. We've got some people that are training in the gym that are quite high profile. We're going to try and grab those people in. And we want to get people in that are fundamentally names in the game. We've had people from various companies. And for us, and please tell us if you feel differently, they haven't quite carried the weight as much as you guys having questions and being able to ask us to hit shots and general chit chat. So we're keen to get people in. Lewis, very much, very happy to have him on. We're just conscious of taking his time, but yeah, we'll definitely get Lewis on even more now that you've asked for him.
And we are going to have partly on the biomechanics side and injury side, Gary Orr. We are going to be getting in March. I need to fill up a date with him. To talk. He's a multiple kind of tour and senior tour winner who's gone through back injuries and things. So we're going to get Stuart, our biomechanics chiropractor, in who's worked with Gary and get them on one of them as well.
Brilliant, super stuff. Bill James says, can we have buggies next week? I'll need to carry the super box. You can absolutely get the super box in. I'm not sure how good I'll be for the coaching after those, but I've got a very funny story about Superbox. Remind me to tell you that story. I'm not telling it on this channel, that is for sure. Gary Setterfield, speaking of beer stew, what is really in that can you're drinking? I tried zooming in but can't quite see it. It's only Diet Coke with vodka, but that's all. And my sister answers, probably straight vodka, Gary. Gary says that explains the line dancing. Don't forget, we've got the left-hand long driving competition coming up in a moment. Love to see some few hits with Smoke TD and Ventus Black TR.
The Smoke Trouble Down Ventus Black TR. Well, if we're going to get the left-handed, we need to set that up.
We'll definitely do that next week, but we're going to set the left hand up because we are drawing to the end. We'll try and crash through a few of these questions we have. Goodness me, lots of people asking questions. It's so good to have you all in. If you're new to the channel, do give us a like and subscribe, and do share with your friends, because the more the merrier. And look, if it gets to the point where it's too much, we're going to maybe extend it out to 90 minutes, who knows. When we hit 1,000 people in an evening, maybe we'll then move to 90 minutes. James can get the curry in. Tom Ashmore, evening gents. Have you seen any difference in performance between standard steel putter shafts to the more premium graphite options available?
Well, for me, the biggest difference is the fact that the weighting's different. So, in theory, the graphites are stiffer. So, all the big companies like saying, "Oh well, shaft companies, it's stiffer, therefore it's more stable at impact, less dispersion." But for most golfers who don't putt on greens at 12 or 13 on the stim, actually the balance point in steel being near at the bottom, a lot of the time helps the flow of the stroke a little bit more.
Easy for you to say.
So yeah, this must be that Coca-Cola. We see relatively, from a data point of view, there's very, very limited actual improvement. Technically, there is a slight improvement, but it's very, very minimal when done on a robot. And when it's a human, it's about timing and the way it swings. So Odyssey have gone to a steel shaft from the composite this year, which I think tells you something. It's also cheaper for them, but it doesn't suit everyone. It isn't an absolute fix.
Go and tee us up with a couple of lefty.
Better get a forgiving head, haven't they?
Or a lefty, yeah, nice and easy one. Klaus Larson asks, evening gents, any thoughts on tempo and speed of backswing, re the viral George Ball video this weekend where a driving range hero was providing advice on her swing? Oh yeah, I saw that. There was a lady pro, wasn't there?
She dealt with that very well.
Yeah, she did deal with it. Swing speed, I think you could go 3, 4, 5, 6 times slower in your backswing to improve pull dynamics and lag effect in the way down. For my money, the minute you start this Bryson swinging it back quickly, all sorts of nastiness happens. Seen better players have ultra slow backswings than ultra fast ones, that is for sure. So I would go 2, 3, 4 or 5 times slower backswing than downswing in my view and opinion. Kevin Phillips, thanks guys. Would you consider a T350 or U505 easier, friendlier to hit as a long iron replacement?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you've got to be careful of is where the loft goes with it. So, for example, the T200U, the utility version of the iron, is a weaker loft than the standard T200 to blend better with the T100. And the 350 is going to be stronger again. So just be careful of the loft that you're going to so you don't get big gaps. But yeah, absolutely, they're going to be more forgiving than the vast majority of iron heads.
We are going to really struggle to get through all of your questions this evening, which is an absolute first. They are coming in hard and fast, so we will look over them and we will do our best to answer them on the chat channel. What do you think you're going to get out of this driver? Give me a club head speed.
It's going to go miles left, I reckon. Club head speed, if I can get it to if I can get it to 90, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah.
If I can get it over 200, I'll be thrilled. Not
okay.
Carry. Carry wise,
we get 3 goes.
If I can get 200 carry, I'll be absolutely over the moon.
I think we get 3 goes. We'll have 3 goes at it. This has been sprung on him.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been practicing all day, and he's been sprung into left hand mode.
Right, okay. This is going to be ugly. Oh, there we go. Left wall. Told you. Called it.
That took off. Oh, he got 91 miles an hour.
Look at the path, though. Not the face to path. The path.
Yeah,
0.
Didn't even pick the face to path.
No, well, what a surprise.
Couldn't see it.
Right, better strengthen that grip up a little bit.
I'll get the ball a little bit further forwards as well. Oh, that was a bit low and out the neck, that one. Low and out the neck.
Okay. I think the average of the 2 was great.
See, you're going for out and out speed, aren't you?
Well, I might as well. I haven't got any technique to go with. Right, okay, let's just kind of see if I can get something on this. I hope this makes everyone feel a lot better.
Oh, that was nice, but it's left though. It's left, isn't it?
Oh, be careful, don't rick a muscle doing it. I got 197 carry, I'll take that.
You did, you've done well there. I'm just
it's
take
about
watch
70 yards left.
I don't want my watch slowing me down.
Dearie me.
Yeah, you did. Well, look, I mean,
I don't think the wife's going to be very sympathetic of how I hurt myself.
Is the wife ever sympathetic?
What did you do to yourself? I was larking about hitting a left-handed shot. Look, you look at this.
Look at I'm all in.
Someone's teed him up for this one, haven't they?
No. Come on, Stuart.
Literally.
You can do it. You can do it. Oh, that's a bit left, that one. That's a bit left. I think I might be faster.
101 miles an hour left-handed.
I think I'm faster left-handed than I am
tell you what,
right-handed.
though, if nothing else, it's gone a long way in the
It has gone a long way,
hasn't it?
Right, I'm going to be able to get that straight. Don't you worry.
That's quite impressive.
Sorry?
If I didn't know that you've practiced this a lot over the years, that would be quite impressive.
Oh no, that's out the toe. This is it. This is it. This is the one.
Look at that path. 5 degrees into out.
Yeah, yeah. Right, come on, Stu.
Go, hook it back.
Come on.
Hook it back.
You can do this, Stu. I need a little draw down there. Come on. Come on. Oh, there she is.
140.
There she is.
Look at that. Very impressive. That is something that I do not possess the ability to do.
230 yards left-handed.
Very impressive.
I like that.
Sickening, isn't it?
Well, look, I think I'm almost faster than I am right-handed, but there you go. Anyway, that was great fun. Let's flip round that way. Look, it's been an absolute bumper evening.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great
questions.
Fun.
We're so sorry we can't get through all of them, but hopefully the ones that we have answered, you've really grown a little bit of knowledge for. Busy week ahead for you?
Yeah,
silly season, isn't it?
Silly season. Yeah, this time of year is always great. Very, very busy. Yeah, it's full steam ahead.
Very much so. We've got some great content coming for you over the coming weeks and months. Going into the season, Masters evenings, we've got our Castelnavarino event, and also we've got the last of our Winter League series next week. Bill James heading that, leading into next month. Next month. He's leading that.
Oh, is Bill leading?
Absolutely, and we'll be teeing up obviously the 24-25 Winter League series for next year. There'll be information coming out on that as well. It's been great, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I'm loving these.
So many questions, so much interaction. Thank you so much. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, very much so. Listen, thank you so much for being with us and all of your questions. Do give us a like and a subscribe because we'd really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you next week. So from Simon and I, thanks so much.